Hi everyone, it's Fitz with your Power Talk. I hope you're doing well. Pretty calm press conference today. It was Monday in the wake of the big win over Kansas. K-State is now 4-4. We had Chris Kleiman and three players coverage at Go PowerCat and of those videos from those interviews on YouTube. So we've got all that coming up for you. But, last week was quiet because, well, it was KU and nobody wanted to talk trash. It's your rival, right? And they all said it's not that important. And at the end of the game, we found out it was really important to them, that they prepared really well and they played really well. That brings me to the first topic we're going to discuss today is how do you keep improving? I mean, we've seen K-State come out of 2 off weeks now dramatically better after both, beating UCF. And if you recall, I said that still wasn't a great performance. It was just good enough to beat UCF. Go to Baylor, kind of stumble over a great opportunity to win. It would have changed everything if they'd won that, but then they went ahead and beat Tech, and then they hammered Kansas to get to 4-4 overall, 3-2 in the conference. So, of course, those losses are to Baylor and Iowa State, and that's important because this topic, you've got to be prepared for Texas Tech. We're going to get into all that this week. This is the biggest test of the year. I still believe this is the best team in the Big 12, despite having the one loss. They played at Arizona State without quarterback Baron Morton. He is expected to be back for this game. Makes him a much better, much more dangerous team. I think this is a national title shot type of team. But it may not be if Kansas State wins. This Big 12 race is halfway through, a little more. 2 teams have only played 4, but the other 14 teams have played 5 games out of their 9 in conference play. BYU and Cincinnati are sitting up top at 5-0. So they both need to lose probably twice to not make the championship game. One might get them out. Houston and Tech sit 1 game behind at 4-1, and then there's 4 more teams at 3-2. Basically, it's 2 losses and you're on the bubble, at least for now. And I think that's the way it will be coming down the stretch. So the key for Utah, which is also on Kansas State's schedule, Arizona State, Kansas State, and TCU is don't lose again or you're eliminated. And if you're Texas Tech, you don't want to lose and end up in that 2-game mush-up right there, 2-loss mush-up, because you got bad tiebreakers. You got Arizona State and Kansas State both involved in that tiebreaker ahead of you. So this game's really big for Tech. It can put them behind the 8 ball if they would lose this game. Now, if you're wondering about tiebreakers with Kansas State, they're great. Iowa State and Baylor both sit below them at 2 and 3. So if Kansas State ends up tied with them, they're at 3 games in loss column. They're out of it anyhow. So it's odd now we're halfway through, a little more, to be talking about K-State as a legitimate contender. But it all starts with Saturday. And I feel like every part of this season's had its own storyline. The first 4 games were a mess. They were. Wasn't a very good team. They went 1-3. Could have been 0-4. Could have been better than that. But they were 1-3. They came out of that, went and played their next 4 games, had another break in there leading up to Kansas, and went 3-1 total. So now they're 4-4. We've discussed this before, but you've got Texas Tech coming in this week. Really good team. They get another off week, ironically. Their 3rd one of the season because they played in week 0. And then you go to Oklahoma State, which should be a win. But then you go to Utah, which would be a challenge. And then come home to play Colorado, which I would think would be a win. It's possible. But the team that played on Saturday against Kansas better show up and be a little bit better, because it's going to take everything to beat Texas Tech. Can they lock in that much? Well, as it was pointed out at the press conference, they've lost last 2 seasons after beating KU. So this team needs to say, okay, we squandered that early season schedule. Let's lock in here. Let's keep working. Let's keep getting better, and maybe we beat Tech. If they beat Tech, everything's on the table. But that's a big if. Now our final topic of the day. Dylan Edwards is out once again. Chris Kleiman talked about the imaging they did. They need some more. Apparently it's not healed. I don't understand, what exactly is going on here. Of course, he didn't reveal what was on the imaging, but I'm just going to say I think Dylan Edwards is more hurt than injured. He's incapable of playing on that foot. Maybe it's much worse than any of us know. But the fact that he got hurt in Ireland and then missed 2 games before trying to play at Arizona, and now he's missed 3 games in a row and an off week. It doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me at all. So we'll see how this kind of shakes out here. But Dylan Edwards is still with the team. There's reports that he isn't. He's still being listed as out. I think they might rule him out for the season very soon, which is what I reported from the initial start, that this was going to be an opportunity for him to preserve his red shirt because he's played in the maximum 4 games before losing a red shirt. That's just conjecture on my part. Yeah, there's some sources, but not good enough to say, yeah, he's done playing and is going to transfer. I do believe he will transfer, and I also believe Kansas State will have no problem with that. I'm intrigued by this. How long will they keep him around if they think he's good enough to play and he's not playing? Do you just move him off the roster? Do you just move him along? I don't know. But right now, you don't want him back, to be honest. This team's playing really well. Would he be an improvement at running back? Yes, but at what price? It's become a huge distraction because a lot of guys are playing hurt right now. A lot of guys are beaten up. A lot of guys are playing in pain. A lot of guys are taking the needle to stuff to numb it up so they can play. And if you're among the hurt and not playing, your teammates notice it. If you're injured, you're on crutches and you simply can't function. The body part is injured. It's not working right. I get it. But just being hurt, no, it doesn't sit well with teammates. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But this program probably is a point now where it needs to move on. This has been a distraction since literally the first time he touched the ball this season and got hurt on that play. They're insisting it happened on the play when his ankle got rolled up on a little bit and it kind of bent backwards. It didn't seem like it was that bad, to be honest, to be like basically a season-ending injury. But here we are. We're more than halfway done. We're 2/3 done with the season, and he's played in only half the games. So it's probably time for everyone to kind of move on. But the good news is Joe Jackson is playing better. He doesn't give you the home run threat, but he does give you that persistent ability to run the ball. He goes and picks up yards almost every time. And if he's picking up 3.5 yards a carry, you're going to live with that because he's picking up first downs. You sprinkle in the Lavery Johnson, a little flash and show over here with a little maybe running back on the depth chart coming in, or you use a receiver or bring Blake Barnett in, who's been a little bit banged up. All of it will work. They've got to be able to run the ball. And Texas Tech's front is absolutely incredible. This is the best defensive front Kansas State will have seen in a very long time, including Texas teams. So finding enough running game to establish a passing game will be a challenge. But I think K-State's up to it. We'll find out Saturday, 2:30 p.m. at the Bill on Fox nationally. It's going to be a great game. Can this team keep going? Man, if they do, if they actually beat Tech, that's an amazing coaching job. A lot of you wanted everyone fired, and it's turned out to be pretty impressive. They still got work to do, but if they just win the games they should win, Oklahoma State, Colorado, they're going to a bowl game, which seemed so far-fetched earlier in the year. Now they're on the cusp of not only earning a bowl bid, but because of who they lost to, they're still in contention for the Big 12. It's an incredible story. Stay tuned. We'll be following it. Go Powercat. We've got the insiders tonight. Joe Bob Clements, former Kansas State defensive end, and of course, longtime K-State coach and was on the previous Oklahoma State staff, will join us tonight on the Insiders, 6 p.m. because the Chiefs are on Monday Night Football. So check that out.